This was supposed to be the job from hell. When I came to look at this job, not even I wanted to take this on. But the impression I got is that no one else would do it. And with my customer finding me on YouTube, I just had to help. But it turns out that my client was super helpful also. Let me show you what he done. This is a mid-terraced house with a detached garage at the back garden, which makes this install very difficult. But what my customer done was cut out all of the ceiling in the front room. As you saw, this downstairs toilet is getting renovated, so we have a clear passage through there, and he even took all the plinths off in the kitchen so I can pass my cable all the way through to the back garden. Now that was a hell of a lot of prep work that he carried out for me, but he done it for two reasons. One, to keep costs down, because that would have taken me an additional day to prep that at least, so he saved himself some money there. And also he's taken it down in such a way that there's clearly renovations going on and he wants to put it back together in a particular way. In that bathroom where you're going to see where I run the cable, that's all getting boxed in, so don't panic about that. And now I'm into the garage where I'm going to be fitting a new consumer unit, which happens to be the new range of Proteus consumer unit, and I'm going to show you all of the new features in this. There's some really cool stuff. And also the new spacer mounts. This is lovely and you're gonna love it. Proteus are making such an effort to up their game with all of this stuff. It's definitely worth giving their new range a go. Trust me, you're gonna like it. By the way, this isn't out yet. This is just a demo version for me to show you, okay? And I'm installing a Hypervolt, but you've all seen that before. Anyway, let me show you how I installed that cable yesterday. It was a hot day and it literally took me all day. Enjoy. Job number one was to set up the laser level, and although my customer had cut out the ceiling, I still needed to drill all of my holes. This takes a bit of time and these joists are like double thick for some reason. I then drilled my final couple of holes and it's on to drilling a hole from the outside into the kitchen underneath the plinth. The cable runs like 45 meters, so I'm going to pull this in from the middle to both ends, if that makes sense. So the first end is from the garden to the front of the house, and then the second end will be the garden to where the garage consumer unit's going. One final hole for this cable run is into the garage. I use a 28mm core bit, which just gives a nice finish. Now I've got to unreel all of the cable to get it through this ducting before poking it through the wall into the garage. Next, I'm just drilling all of my holes for my D-line fixings. I'm not using a spit gun here because it's going to blow the brickwork, but I am using it inside the garage. Poke the cable over the top in hatches prepared by the client, and that is day one done, literally all day. Proteus have a new range out, and I'm going to show you a few of the cool features that have recently been added to the new range. The removable flappy lid is just a lovely feature, I think, and they have finally added that notch on the DIN rail for the main switch. The knockouts on top have been changed to 32s, 25s and a 20, top and bottom. These are the new spacer mounts that are not available just yet, but they're going through the testing phases, so hang tight, they will be out soon. They have the knockouts at the top and the bottom if you have surface mounted cables, or if you have rear entry, it just gives you a little bit more room in the back of the consumer unit if you want to do some fancy dressing. Okay, so with this job, the way this garage is currently fed is by an armoured down there in that corner, if you can see that, which goes into a switch view spur, which then goes into another switch view spur. The first switch view spur feeds these sockets, and the second one does the lighting. So I'm going to disconnect that, run some new conduit to my board. But what this means is I don't really need this mounting plate because I'm going to gland the conduits straight into it. And if I put this up as well to show you, the board's going to stick out that much further. And as much as I want to show you this mounted, it's not going to give the best finish, which is what I should do for my customer, which is more important. So I'll show you how this fixes to the consumer unit anyway, and show you how this could be advantageous if you're doing like a normal consumer unit change and you have cables going top and bottom, and then you can swoop them straight into the back. These are your fixing holes to the wall, and then these are the fixing holes to the consumer unit. So that just sits like that. But you can see that extra depth, which would mean that I'm going to have to set my conduit way more into it. It's not necessary. The cable entry holes on this is perfect for today's job. I've got a 32, which I don't need, a 25 there, which is I'm going to put a stuffer in for the EV Ultra going to the charger. A 20mm I'm not using, another 25mm which I'm going to use for the 10mm into a stuffer to feed the board, 32 not using, and then on the bottom we have a 20 in the middle which I'm going to use for the conduit to pick up the feeds for the lighting and the power. Another inquiry's just come in. I used to dread this part of my admin, but now I can get a quote done before my kettle even boils. Let me show you how quickly I can do this using Traderify, and you can do even if you are shocking with tech.
Open up Traderify, select inquiries and click on the one that you want to address. Select inquiry action in the bottom right hand corner and create a new job. Select the customer details and then move along to quotes. Open up new quote from template, which you can make lots of templates for all sorts of different work that you carry out. Once selected, approve the quote and send it to the customer.
And just like that, another quote out the door. No hassle, no stress. If you're a spark, plumber or tradie and spending too much time in your admin, get on Traderify. Use my promo code SOTA30 to get a 2-week free trial and then 30% off the first 3 months that you've signed up. It's proper game changing.
Once I've prepared my consumer unit, it's time to get it mounted and then work on the supply cable. I fixed the cable at every opportunity that I had using the hatches cut out by the client. But one thing is niggling me.
So my supply cable was coming in this stuffing gland on the left hand side, but I need to connect this up in the right hand side of the board, and my EV Ultra going to my chargers on the right hand side, and it needs to go to the left hand side of the main switch. But I'd rather they crossed in the board rather than out here, because that would look naff. But it's one of those things that I know this board's shut, but it's just gonna, I just don't like it. But there you go. Can you see also, if I had that backing plate on, this cable here wouldn't fall. It'd be like offset with this joist slightly. So as much as I want to use the offset bracket and show you it, mounting bracket, offset mounting bracket, it's just not right for this job. It's not required. So the reason for the EV Ultra to the garage is so I have a Cat 5 going all the way back to the meter tails for the load curtailment. And also by the front door is the router. I am going to be trying connecting this to the Wi-Fi because the customer's got a solid mesh system. But if it doesn't work, we'll do the additional work and get it hardwired. Simple things like a notch on that DIN rail honestly makes all the difference, because before you never knew where that main switch sat. Proteus are massively trying to bring out like the best range they possibly can while keeping it affordable. So they're listening to people like me, and if you want to get involved with Proteus and offer them, you know, some advice, because they're not installers at the end of the day, remember that, it's you and me doing this. So if you have any ideas or things that would be better, drop them an email and let them know, or let me know and I'll tell them. But the changes that they're making, I personally think they're great.
Before I move on to the EV charger, I need to sort out this old conduit. So I'm removing the old supply, I'm putting it in a whisker box and I'm securing that into the wall. That's that made safe. And now it's on to planning my conduit route.
So I don't like these saddles. I think they look rubbish. They're okay, but there's better. So these are the D-line conduit clips. They're metal fire rated and you can fire them in with the spit gun.
I'm keeping all the conduit the same, so I'm using 20mm white PVC conduit with them white D-line saddles, and then I'm going to start fishing all my cables through using a draw wire.
So what I've done here now is got rid of those few spares, and I've linked up my conduit straight into this radial socket circuit and then ran a new feed to the switch for the lighting circuit. So now at the consumer unit, I will have a dedicated lighting circuit and a dedicated socket circuit or power circuit. Much better. Oh, and the old supply down there, just chucked it in a whisker box because he wanted to keep it just in case. So there it is. Doncaster's EV Ultra, 6mm this time, 10mm coming in. And I'm at a stage now where everything's sort of put back together and I'm back at square one. So I can get on with the EV charger. Sometimes when you carry out these jobs, there's just so much involved that you don't realise. And it's almost like I've done a day and a half's work just to get to a starting position, which is a little bit mad, but required. Where I'm installing this is not in a usual place. So where I would normally install a charger is here on the front of the garage, but there's a drain pipe here. It's a double garage, can't really put it on the shed bit. So I've got to put it here, but so the gate doesn't hit it and it's not too intrusive when you're walking through.
I'm using my core hole drill again, but first of all, I always put a 6mm pilot bit through. If you're finding that you're blowing a lot of brickwork, it might be worth investing in one of these core hole saws. It's going to take a little bit longer, but better to have quality, right? Now it's time to finish off installing that 𝐾𝐬𝐬 cable. The D-line clips that I'm using here are basically the same as the ones I used for the Conduit, but they are smaller. If you try and use the Conduit saddles for the 𝐾𝐬𝐬, it's just going to be really baggy.
A little tip for you, when you're drilling through the wall for your cable, make sure it's bigger than a 20mm hole if you're installing a hypervolt, because you need to like hook it on. So this is like a 28mm core drill, which gives me that play. I'll show you in a sec. I'm just going to seal my hole up. So when you pass this through, let me get you closer. Sorry about the wind, it's really windy. I might voice over this bit. So this sort of lifts on and you need to get it through your gland as well. So there's a lot to do. And there you have it.
Now I'm just going around cleaning up all of my cable and sealing up all of the holes that I made through the walls.
That is everything buttoned up at the other ends and dead tested. So now I just need to put away this last circuit, the EV one, put the cover on, fire it up, live test everything. It is 2:15 on a Friday, nearly done.
Now for the finishing touches, I'm looking to replace this brother printer because frankly, it's broken, I don't like it, and I want a different one. So if anyone knows a different brand of printer, let me know.
Right, where's my phone? So detached garage, mesh network, connected absolutely fine. To the Wi-Fi, I mean.
For me, Hypervolt have gone from one of the worst chargers to connect to the internet to one of the best. It just always seems to connect, no problem now. It's Friday afternoon and I want to go home, but this is the time where I just slow down and make sure that I finish off the job properly. Give everything a nice good clean, otherwise there's no point doing all of this hard work to leave it in a mess.
That's another one completely wrapped up from me today. Thank you everyone for watching my channel. You're all awesome. I've got a big tidy up to do now. You don't care about that. So I'll see you next week. Enjoy the summer. Enjoy the sun even. Love you all. Bye.